Okay, this is the Parenthood and Children presentation. My name is Alec Beard, and this is the Marriage and Family class. So let's go ahead and get started. Get it figured out here. So, to breed or not to breed, that is the question. Thought that was pretty clever myself. But yeah, some factors that we have kind of read through our textbook and in different books so far this semester have kind of presented these to us. But some factors to consider in your decision if you do want to become a parent or not are external and internal pressure, the rewards versus cost for parenting, and the life change that parenting does bring. And we will make our way through each and every one of these shortly. So there is a lot of pressure that comes along with being a parent. It is not an easy task to simply choose to take on. It is one that takes consideration and planning and really a weighing of life circumstances and even coming from your potential background. Parenting could have been something that was not a positive experience for you and is not something that you want to bring into your own life. Maybe you feel incapable, or that you don't have the necessary skill sets to bring out life into the world and to provide for it. But two specific aspects of pressure when it comes to parenting are the social aspect. There is sometimes a perceived pressure from different groups in our lives, whether that be our friends. Maybe we have a lot of friends who have entered into a certain life stage, and it seems that everyone around us seems to be getting married quickly, and then before you know it, they're having babies. And so it makes us take a look at our lives and say, well, do I need to match the speed at which they're progressing, or do the things in my life that they're doing in theirs to be successful or to feel happy? And that can also come from our family, specifically maybe our own parents who have already been through the parenting cycle for the most part, and who are wanting to have some grandchildren. They might put a little pressure on us to go ahead and produce that and give them those before they themselves move on in life, so to speak. There's also a little bit of biblical pressure that might be perceived. There's a lot of different passages in the Bible that talk about parenting and having children, and what that necessarily is. Genesis 9:7 says, "But as for you, be fruitful and multiply." This is the biblical mandate in the book of Genesis, as God is telling Adam and Eve to go out and multiply their number, to grow in number. That is something that is preached in a lot of churches today, that God commands us to go forth and multiply. Having children is a God-given commandment, which could create some pressure. Psalm 127:3 also says, "Children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from Him." And so if you are a Bible-believing Christian who has yet to have children, and you read a verse like this, you think, well, I would love to receive a gift from the Lord. And if they are a reward, that could maybe instill a thought process in us to uh, carry that out to receive that reward from the Lord. This is a picture that I found on the internet. It's far more unclear than I had hoped, but I think it can still be made out. And I think it does a great job of summarizing the maybe social pressure. On the left here, we have a group of women who are obviously far along in their pregnancies, who are speaking to a friend, and it says, "We're having babies. You should have babies. Babies, babies, babies." And over here you can see the pure terror on her face. And the clever line at the top, "Cats don't engage in peer pressure, but these women obviously do." The rewards versus costs for being a parent. The rewards, there are several. It is an economic reward. You can receive tax breaks for having children. There are a few economic incentives to having children. The development of personal identity. It speaks a lot to you when you have children. You are developed as an individual. You're no longer just taking care of yourself. You have another life to factor in. And it's kind of a certifying of adulthood. When you step into adulthood, you get a job, you get married, and then the next logical step, right, is to have children. And it kind of cements that adulthood into being. cost of having children, it is a long-term financial investment. It does not. It costs a lot of money to have children. It's not something that just you do and you don't have to pay for. It definitely takes a long-term commitment. There's a shift in the family dynamic. This was an interesting fact that I found. Mothers with a higher level of education are more likely to be involved in a labor-intensive, emotionally absorbing parenting method than mothers with a lower level of education. And so when children are brought into the picture, depending on your life stage, it's going to bring a shift in your family dynamic. As this statement says, women who have waited and who have pursued higher level of education are going to be more willing to pour into a child. Here we have kind of a rewards versus cost diagram. Over here you have the rewards of a family unit. They look stable, they look happy, enjoying a nice picnic. Over here we have a family and a male who is obviously feeling the weight of his role, trying to come up with ways to pay the bills. Being a parent also brings about life change, potential loss of income. If a couple is both working and then the female were to become pregnant, there is a good chance that she's going to stop working and they're going to lose income as she takes care of the child. There's also an effect on the marriage that a child had. It is two now become three or four, and it definitely changes the dynamic. But it does show, research does show, as Lamanna says in the book, that having children does stabilize a union. It adds a sense of wholeness to that union. There's also a psychological effect. Your entire life changes when you bring on another life. It adds stress, it adds responsibility, weights to your decisions. You're no longer just thinking for you and your spouse, but you're thinking for another life. Some trends in parenthood, fertility. The average births a woman will have over her lifetime increased from 1.7 in 1976 to 2.0 on average in 2013. So there was an uptick in women who are having babies. Nowadays, people are putting off having children. The average birth fell to 1.9 in 2007 and has remained there since. Interesting fact here as well, education's effect on fertility. Data from the, well, that's supposed to say current, but it says urine. Population surveys and vital statistics birth data both show that fertility increases among college graduate women, especially at older ages, since the mid to late 1990s. So again, education's effect obviously has an effect on women and their involvement in the parenting style and in their fertility rates as well. Today, 2 children constitute America's ideal family size. Kind of the modern approach to the ideal family is 2 and 2. Kind of has an equal balance to it to take on the weight of raising children. Another trend in parenthood is the assisted reproductive technology is more available. It's much more common today for people to pursue technology in pursuit of helping their fertility rates. 1/3 of ART procedures result in a live birth. So 33%, not a bad percentage. The age at having a child, the trend, early 20s, was something that was more common back in the day, is now seen as rare in today's world. Today, it is more common for people to have children in their older, to their late, early 30s, sometimes late 30s. Mostly because they feel more prepared, they have stable jobs that allow for more flexibility as parents. One possible risk in that area is that fertility does decline with age. So the longer you wait, the harder it is for you to have or to conceive a child. Non-marital births are common in today's world. Many women are choosing parenthood, but not marriage. 58% of non-marital births came from cohabiting women. That is a large statistic, and even 42% came from unpartnered women. So it is more common today than it was, 30, 40, 50 years ago for women to not even be married when they have children, as well as multi-partnered fertility, having children with more than one biological partner. This is more likely probably a common cause from divorce or split families, or just relationships ending from cohabitating male and females. Parenting in the 21st century, some advantages, increases in education among parents. With that trend in waiting later in life to have children, there's going to be an increase more than likely in education, so they're more educated. Technology as well increases the ability to stay connected between parents and children as they grow. What with the ability to reach anyone in the world at any point because of technology is a great advantage. And the internet also provides a lot of information that helps parents deal with situations they might not have been prepared for in the past. Some disadvantages: parental role conflicts with work role. Um, a lot of times parents have a hard time distinguishing between their work life and their home life. And there can be some conflict there. Our world today is very conflicting as far as their values and points of view, so it can be difficult to raise your child and to um, establish your point of view and share your values and have them kind of correlate with the world's. There could be some conflict there. There is a diminished in society-wide support for parenting. Parenting is not as encouraged today as it was in past times, and so there is not as much of a societal support. Parenting in the 21st century factors also contribute to an increase in stress. There is a lot of stress in our world today. We all have busy schedules, and adding lives and children to that will only increase in that stress, which is, in fact, a disadvantage. Here are my references, primarily the textbook, the Bible, and a few sources I found online. But that is my presentation. Thank you for listening, and hope you have a great day.